Would you like to live your best life possible, regardless of your imperfections? Discover cutting-edge tools and inspiration to let go of your limitations and expand your life beyond what you've ever imagined. On Imperfect Brilliance, we help you tap into your unique gifts and talents, uncovering and letting your brilliance shine. Join certified facilitators and coaches Betsy McLoughlin and Kathy Williams to delve into different areas of your life. Get unstuck and create the life that is truly possible for you. These joyful ladies have changed their lives by utilizing the tools and techniques they share with you. What if your willingness to acknowledge your brilliance is the catalyst to creating a new reality? When you stop judging you, what else can you create in your life and in the world? Join Kathy and Betsy live every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern to create magical and joyous possibilities for an hour of laughs, questions, tips, and more. We are excited to contribute and play with you.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Imperfect Brilliance. We're so glad you're listening in. My name is Betsy McLoughlin, and I'm here today with my beautiful and amazing co-host, Kathy Williams, who is calling in from Rome. So, gotta love technology, right? That you can literally be anywhere in the world and be on a radio show at the same time. How does it get better than that?
Yes. How does it?
Yay! So our topic today is talking about significance and freedom from significance, and what if that is a key to peace for you? So what if one of the ways that you can begin to have more freedom in your life is by not making things so significant? Imagine for a moment if the stories you tell over and over did not impact you any longer. And what if you could free yourself from your judgments of you, your bank account, the size of your body, whatever other things that you are judging yourself from? And if you change the significance of these things, would you have more freedom in your life or less? More ease in your life or less? So that is what we're going to be delving into today, Kathy. And before we get started, would you like to tell our audience about us?
Yes, Betsy, thank you. And please let me know if I'm breaking up because the internet in Rome is different. So Betsy and I are both coaches and certified facilitators of access consciousness. So we use different tools, simple tools that really work to change things, to change our bodies, to change financial flows, to change any area of your life that's not working for you. Because any area of your life that's not working for you must be an area where you cut off your awareness. You know, you are a vast being with more awareness than you've acknowledged. And so for an area of life to not be working, we've cut off our awareness there. And so these tools help us, step back into question and possibility and more consciousness area of our life. So we do that in person. We do it over the radio. We do sessions via Skype or phone with people across the globe, and we do in-person workshops. Betsy is in the Maryland area, and I'm on Maui, so we definitely span across the U.S. But we do workshops in other places in the world as well. So, I mean, both she and I have really changed our lives using the tools of access consciousness because they're so simple. You can use them, any time of day with any situation to affect change, and it's really fun to see how that impacts people's lives when they learn even just one of the tools. So, and one of the tools is know significance. So we're going to talk about that today, and how, what if you didn't make your mom's attitude toward you significant, or your boss attitude toward you significant, or even your own attitude significant. And today I was in a class with Gary Douglas, and he was talking about how, when we're crabby, sometimes we really want people to know, I'm crabby. And he said, what I say is, I'm irrationally crabby today. Just don't listen to me right now. And how does that change the energy if you're willing to say, instead of making it really significant, just being like, I'm irrationally crabby right now. Don't listen to me.
That's funny. That's really funny. Yeah. Pay no attention to me right now, okay, guys?
Yeah, and what a great reminder for us too, right? When we're crabby, like we're listening to all this crabbiness in our heads, and instead it's just like, don't listen to me. Oh yeah, I don't have to listen to my own crabbiness, flower, or listen to the birds or something better. Yeah, we always have choice, and that's one of the beautiful things about access consciousness tools is they really help us identify that, like, if you're not liking something, you always have a choice. Even if it's just change your attitude toward it, you always have a choice. Yeah. Yeah. What if we didn't make taxes significant?
Right? What if?
Taxes are around the corner in the U.S. anyway.
Right. I know we've got a little bit less than a month to get our income taxes all squared away. And I know for me, I used to avoid it. And then I was like, you know what? Why am I avoiding this? It's like it's something that you are required to do. You've got to do it. So what if I changed my attitude about it and actually was grateful that I had to pay taxes? That, there's enough income coming in, right, that you are paying taxes. Oh, right. And so that little tweak for me, when I was sitting there with, the stacks of receipts and everything else, going, oh, what if I could be grateful for this instead of the dreary, the dread, making it so horrible and awful. And it really changed things for me. And then I started looking at it like, okay, what could I do to make this easier for me in the future? And so now, as the year is going along, I actually have a spreadsheet and I put things in there probably like once a month, so that at the end of the year, it's not this big, huge ordeal of trying to find everything. And, so it's like, what do you sometimes do to yourself that keeps you from having things be easier? So when I was making to taxes and the avoidance of it way more significant than actually doing it, and just, because I was running away from it all, what was I actually creating? I was, for me, I was definitely creating more of the same of, oh, God, I have to do my taxes and it's going to take me forever because I don't have anything together. And, I had all these reasons and justifications for why it was so horrible. I was buying my own story and then just feeding the adding more fuel to that fire, I guess, is the best way to say it.
Yeah. Isn't it interesting how the stories in our head are so often much, much worse than the reality of the experience? Just doing it, like Nike says.
Right. So it's a few hours out of, however long in your year. But yeah, when you make it so significant that either, like, so for me, I was avoiding it like crazy, and then that just made everything worse. And then when I paid my, then I would file my taxes late, and then guess what? I was paying penalties for getting my taxes in late. Okay, wait, this is not really working for me anymore. So what can I do differently?
Well, and that's such a great question. What can I be and do differently, or what can I do differently to change this? And,
So, Kathy, you just broke up quite a bit, so I'm going to repeat the question that she just said, which is one of the great questions that we love to ask is, what could I be or do different here? So go ahead.
yeah, and that one question is so applicable in any situation that's really not working well for us. It's like, what can I be or do different here to change this?
Right.
And that shines the flashlight of your awareness in a new direction. Instead of in the direction of, this is a problem, this is a problem, this is hard, this is heavy, this is challenging, I don't like this, it's not fun, I have to, I'm obligated. All of those stories we tell ourselves. Oh, what can I be or do different to change this? Or what can I be and do different to change this? Because the being of it is just, the way you show up. How am I showing up with this today? How am I showing up with my family today? Like, let's say you have to go to your in-laws. For a lot of people, that's really significant and heavy and not fun at all. And it's like, what if they are not significant? What if you just say, okay, how can I show up here to change the energy around being with them?
That's an amazing point that you just brought up, Kathy, and that question of, like, what can I be or do different, and your beingness, who you are being, are you being, are you contributing to the situation? Are you being genuine to yourself? Are you being constricted? What are you being in whatever moment you're looking at?
Wow. And are you being kind to you and them?
Yeah.
Like, is showing up with an attitude of, oh, I don't want to go be with them, I hate being with them, like, I'm just doing this for my husband or for my wife or whatever. Like, is that really a kindness, first off, to your partner, and second off, to you? And third and maybe not first, second, and third in any order, but or to the in-laws or the family. It's like, wow, how can I show up in the world that invites a different possibility in this interaction with them? Because this is a new interaction with them I'm going to have that's never been had before. So could I show up funny? Could I show up less dominating? Could I show up more dominating? What's required to change the energy and actually be a kindness to all of us? Not just to them, not just to me, not just to my partner, but to all of us.
Yes. Oh, great question. Thank you so much for that. And one of the things that I loved at the beginning of the show, you said, like, what if you didn't make what your mother said to you so significant? And, that certainly has touched buttons in my world in the past, and probably a lot of our listeners, right? Whether it's your mother or your father or your teacher or your significant other, where we have made what they have said or thought so significant that in that we have lost ourselves. as one of the
So
possibilities and when we're
true.
making them significant. Yeah. So what
Yeah.
in that situation, let's say, somebody has yelled at you about whatever, or they're upset about something, and then you have made that so significant that you can't stop thinking about it. You're going over and over and over in your head. It's like this on a repeat loop, and all the things that you could have done differently or they could have done differently, whether you're angry at them or yourself or you're upset or sad or whatever is going on. What can you do to free yourself from those judgments?
I've never done all that. Have you?
Well, maybe once or twice.
Just a joke, everybody.
Once or twice.
Oh, goodness. One of the things that really, one of my very favorite questions to ask is, what am I making significant that isn't? Okay? Because this could be any situation, as you mentioned, someone yelling at you, but it could be, we talked about guilt on last week's show. It could be a situation of regret or, anything. It's like, what am I making significant that isn't? Kind of soften things for me. And then you mentioned looping over and over and over. Whenever we're doing that, there are a couple of things that come to mind, and these are elaborated a lot more in the Access Consciousness Foundation class, which is a 4-day class. And if you haven't taken one, get yourself to one, because it's like a class, 4 days, that creates so much freedom in your life. And you can find them all over the world. Betsy and I teach them, and on the Access Consciousness website, accessconsciousness.com, you can find people in Bulgaria and UK and South Africa, everywhere. And one of those things is called distractor implants, and one of the things is, like, when you're obsessing about something, that's a distraction from being. That's a distractor implant. And so right after we come back from the break, we can talk a little bit more about distractor implants and do a clearing with them. So we'll be back, everybody, in just a moment. Thanks for listening to Perfect Brilliance.
Free your mind with OMTimes Radio, IOM FM.
OMTimes magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. Connect at omtimes.com. OMTimes, creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Hello, I'm Sandy Sedgbeer, host of OMTimes magazine's flagship radio show, What is Going On? My passion is sifting through information, research, and innovations from new thought teachers, speakers, and researchers, pushing back the boundaries of what we know about life, energy, metaphysics, and the universe. I love shifting perceptions about who we are, why we're here, and how quickly impossible becomes normal when we open our minds, expand our awareness, and accept that the only limits that exist are those we place upon ourselves. So if you're the kind of forward-thinking, eager investigator of what lies beyond the current reality that most perceive, why not make a date to come play with me in the field of possibilities at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time every Thursday, and together we can discover what's really going on.
Melissa from Michigan. I work an extra part-time job serving lunch at my child's school, but I still can't afford to put food on our table.
Daniel from California. Choosing whether to pay the rent or pay to fix the car to get to work doesn't leave us with much at all. Now we can't even pay for meals.
Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Imperfect Brilliance. You guys are listening to Kathy Williams and Betsy McLoughlin on the Imperfect Brilliance show, where today we are talking about having freedom and keys to some peace in your life. And right before we went to break, Kathy was mentioning, and she is in Rome, so we apologize that the quality of sometimes her voice is going in and out a little bit. Apparently the internet is not as good and where she is right now, so we do apologize for any static or her voice going in and out. And but what she was talking about right before the break was one of the things that we talk quite a bit about is distractions and how they can really keep you from what you would like to create in your life. So when you are distracting yourself from, like what I talked about, of the loop going on and on in your mind about like judgments, or somebody's mad at you, or you're mad at somebody else, or they should have done this, or they didn't say this and they should have done this, or I should have done this, and all of that looping that you can go on and on in your mind. Are you at a peaceful place when you're doing that? Right? So are you in a space of peace, or are you in a space of angst and constriction and really distracting yourself from things that you would like to create and do with your life? So are you with us, Kathy?
Yes.
Awesome.
And, I've definitely had my share of those times where I'm, as you mentioned before the break, repeating something over and over in my head. And so the question I mentioned earlier, what am I making significant that isn't, really clears some of that up, because it's like, will this matter in 10 years?
Mm-hmm.
That's a question I learned from my dad. He runs that question whenever there's an upset. Will this matter in 10 years? And he said, Kathy, I've never really found anything that will. And that's
that
wonderful. Sometimes
it really does.
Go ahead.
Put that in that really does kind of put things in a little bit more perspective, right? Is this going to matter even in a year, 5 years, 10 years? What are you getting all bent out of shape about? I love that question.
Yeah, and yet your blood pressure will matter in 10 years. Your health. And so, we sacrifice our health sometimes by getting stressed out about things that won't even matter in 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Really cute, huh?
Yeah. Well, and I can think about so many. I have a son who is quite a bit older than your children, and I think about, when sometimes some of the things that I really got so bent out of shape about, like, it's a perfect question. Did any of that stuff matter, like, in 6 months or a year from when I was so bent out of shape about whatever it was? And the answer, everything that I can think of, pretty much, probably 99% of them were like, no, it really didn't matter. And so how much do we distract ourselves from those things, and all of our attention is focused on there? So when all of our attention is focused on those things, are you doing everything that you really would like to do with your life? or are you distracting yourself from the things that you would like to do?
Yeah, distracting. And parenting is one of those things that we make so significant, right? Oh, I didn't do it right.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Oh, gosh, I messed up my child. Yeah, and is there really truly any perfect parent? Right? I mean, we're all just mucking about as we go, doing the best we can. And you might say, well, that wasn't actually my best. Oh, okay. Well, now you have more information, right? You learned something. And so next time you can do it differently.
Oh.
Yeah, and that's, I think, one of the beautiful things about no significance, which is one of the keys, in Access Consciousness, we talk about the 10 keys to total freedom. And we've done a show on that, so you can,
I'm going to interrupt for a second because you're starting to break up again. What she's talking about is we talk about the 10 keys to total freedom. And we have done another show that you can search for on iTunes all about that. And we're touching a little bit on it today as well. So sorry for interrupting you, Kathy. You got really choppy there. So, the joys of live radio, right?
From Rome, yes.
From Rome. Beautiful Rome. How is the weather in Rome?
That makes me think of another thing. When something's significant, right? We make historical things significant, right? This is a historical structure. It can't change, right?
Oh,
how much do we?
Great analogy. Yeah.
How much do we make our own history significant? Oh, I wasn't good at math in second grade. Oh, I had a failed marriage, right? Whatever it is, how much do we make that significant and thus let it stick us instead of like, no, I'm going to look forward and this is what I would like to create.
Mm-hmm. Well, when you're looking at the history of something and you're putting your attention on that, as opposed to what Kathy just said about creating something different. So if you're looking at the history, what is the tendency, right, to repeat that history if you're making it significant? So you see how we can really trip ourselves up here?
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And we think by looking back, we're going to do life better, right? Because, well, I didn't do that well, so I better make sure to get it right this time instead of
right.
Okay, I got more awareness. I have more awareness now than I have then. What would I like to create? See, a lot of times when I work with clients one-on-one, they're really aware of what they've created in the past and really aware of what hasn't worked or they're feeling stuck. They're not aware of what it is they'd like to create.
So if they're stuck in the past, they're not aware of what they would like to create, is what Kathy was saying, in case you couldn't understand her. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. I'll be your translator today.
Yay! I should just text you everything. Then, no. Yeah, and it's like, well, if you're going to move your life forward and create something greater than what you created in the past, you have to have a sense of what it is you'd like to create. That's not a vision.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to have a vision, but you have to have an energy of, okay, I would like to be more potent. I would like to be more confident. I would like to show up greater. I would like to create something that's a contribution to this planet. One of the questions I love is in the beginning of the Access Consciousness Bar's manual. And it's like, what can I be, do, create, and generate that's going to make the world a better place and make my life worth living?
Mm-hmm. Right.
And by asking that begins to show up. You don't have to have the answer.
Mm-hmm.
Just have to keep reaching out for that. And it will show up. Do you have something to add to that, Beth?
I think that's such a great question, because we really can get ourselves so tied up in knots that we forget that there are other possibilities, there are other choices, and what we talk about really is simple. By asking questions, not expecting an answer, but by asking questions, it begins to change the energy of whatever's going on, whether it's good, it's bad, it's neither. But asking questions invites other possibilities, opens the door, and allows the universe to contribute to us. And so when we're talking about these simple and pragmatic tools, sometimes it can, like you might be thinking that it's got to be this big, huge revelation in order for it to really impact your life. And you say, what they're talking about is so simple. And that's one of the things I love about it, because it really is simple and pragmatic and easy to do when you remember to do it.
Yeah. And the thing is, you don't have to know 10 steps in advance. You just have to be aware of what step to take next, and the road will open up. You'll have, and once you take that step, you have more awareness of the next choice to make and the next step to take. So you don't have to know the path immediately, like all the way in advance. It's just like trusting that you'll know what you need to know when you need to know it.
Yes, and I can't remember the exact poem, but there is one that when you talked about taking the next step, you don't know where you're going most of the time, or if you're going for a ride in the country and you're just going for a ride, you don't know where you're going next. You just follow, like, oh, this looks neat, and you go there, oh, look at that pretty thing, and the car, you turn there, or you pull your car over to the side of the road with no agenda other than you're in the moment, you're enjoying yourself, and you're exploring. So what if you could give up some of your fixed points of views, like Kathy talked about, with like the old buildings where you have this structure and nothing else is possible? And if you give up some of those fixed points of views and you allow your life to be more of, following the energy and one step, and not knowing maybe where the 10th step or the 20th step is going to be, but following the whispers that come in, or something that seems like it's fun, or something that excites you, and then who knows where you're going to end up, right? And every day, like, do we ever end up, or are we always continuing?
Well, yeah, and that's part of being present. Being present to what is, and taking the step that you're aware to take now, instead of getting too far ahead. And how do we know when we're getting too far ahead? When we're worried, when we're anxious. It's like, is your head too far in the future? Okay, let's draw it back into this moment. Right now you have your breath. Right now you have everything that you require. right? You have your own inner resources that are greater than you've probably acknowledged they are. And now what? What can I choose right now to create a greater future? And on the topic of significance, something that I think is really important to bring in without making it significant is, right? Really important, but not significant.
But not
is
significant.
the idea, right? Is the idea of purpose. Because people get so wrapped up in, like, I have to find my purpose. As if their
Not
purpose wasn't to be
porpoise.
here. Yeah, your porpoise. That makes it less significant to call it your porpoise. Yeah. And what I see a lot of that, people get so wrapped up in, I have to find my purpose, that they allow that to steal their joy. Where it's like, well, what's my purpose? I don't know my purpose. What am I here for? I'm not sure. What if I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing? Instead of it's like, what if your purpose is to be joy, the joy that you are? What if it's to be present and happy, and in so doing, inspire others to that possibility in their lives? Can you imagine having a planet full of happy people?
Yes.
I have a studio audience. She's laughing.
Time for our next break, you guys. Thanks for listening to Imperfect Brilliance. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes.
And during the break, be happy.
Yeah.
How happy can be.
Connecting you with the best of the conscious minds in the world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Ascending Hearts is no ordinary dating site, but a spiritual dating site with a purpose, to link you with your soulmate. We engineer the serendipity so you can trust that you will attune with someone that has the same matching vibration as you. Ascending Hearts, the conscious dating site for the spiritually aware. Try Ascending Hearts for free. AscendingHearts.com.
Hello, I'm Lisa Berry. Join me every Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time for Light on Living. A chance to see new, hear different, and feel more as I shine the spotlight on all the ways to lighten the load of life's challenges. Light on Living is your link to that new way you're looking for, that new understanding that will enhance your life, and that positive connection that will support your growth. So join me and you'll gain insight and start to see things in a new way that motivates you.
My name is Meera Batra, and this is How I Live United. Many families have come to America for a better life. I advocate for these families with United Way. United Way empowers them to see opportunities available. We help them get involved with their kids' schools and network within the community. My name is Meera Batra. I help families see opportunity and succeed. I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer, Live United. Go to liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
Hey, everybody. Sorry about that. Welcome back to Imperfect Brilliance. I must have gotten muted for a moment. This is Betsy McLoughlin here with Kathy Williams, who today is in Rome calling in, and she just finished up facilitator training, which is always amazing. I'm sure she got all kinds of great questions and tools and more things to add to her toolbox. And just to let you guys know, if you're looking for us out on the internet, you can find us a few different ways. You can find us on Facebook. We do have an Imperfect Brilliance Facebook page. You can find us there. You can also find us individually, or we also, Kathy has a website that is meetkathywilliams.com. She also has another one that is IO Transformations. So IO standing for Inside Out Transformations.com. I have one called creatingyumminess.com, and then Imperfect Brilliance has one as well. You can also email us at imperfectbrilliance@gmail.com. So lots of ways to find us, reach out to us. And as Kathy mentioned, we do teach classes all around the world, and individually, together, we facilitated a foundation class last summer that we had an absolute blast, and our students loved it. It was so much fun to teach with her. We love doing it together as well as separately. We do individual classes online as well as we do workshops and things online as well. So always lots of stuff brewing. I know Kathy has several foundations coming up. She's got one in Maui. She's got one this summer in London, and she's also doing Hilton Head in South Carolina. And I know she's looking at some others, and I have one coming up in Northern Virginia in the Washington, D.C. area. And we'd be happy to talk to you about coming to other parts and teaching a class for you. So always lots of stuff in the works, and how much fun can we have? So, Kathy, are you back with us? Or maybe she has dropped off. I know she's been having some difficulties. Is she with us, or? Oh, okay, thank you. So anyhow, we have been talking all today about significance and inviting you guys to look at where you might be making things significant, that if you changed your point of view about it, made it less significant, and ask some questions, what could that contribute to your life and ease and peace in your life? And so whatever that looks like for you, whatever you might have going on that could be eating you up inside, or whatever is going on, by asking some questions, what could that ease up for you? So one of the things that we talked about was distractions, and how much do we distract ourselves with things that and it's kind of like the dog chasing its tail. So when the dog is chasing its tail, that's all it's doing, right? And so when you're doing that, how much are you actually doing and contributing to your life of things that you would actually like to create, to change, to grow from, and whatever else it is that you desire? So what would you rather have? Would you rather have chasing your tail over and over, or would you like to choose freedom, peace, calm? And what does that look like for you in your life? And only you can answer that question. So what we invite you to are really different conversations about what is possible, what else truly is possible in your life by making these little tweaks. And we talked about how really these are very practical, pragmatic, and easy things. And the ease, like I was looking at it for myself, it's almost 5 years to the day when I took my very first foundation class. And what has changed for me is pretty much everything in my life. I was very unhappy, and I did a lot of chasing the tail and making everything significant. Everything, I blew things way out of proportion a lot. and I lived in a world of upset and drama and trauma, and I was not a happy person. I was pretty good at pretending a lot of the times that I was happy, but really I wasn't, and I judged myself pretty much incessantly. So with the taking this class that was so life-changing for me and really kind of had me looking at things from a very, very different way, I am so grateful for it because I have now found me again. I was so lost. And Kathy, if you're on and we can hear you, please do jump in. But I was really lost. I didn't know who I was anymore, and I was really in such a spiral of what in the world am I doing with my life and not knowing what to do to change it. And I had tried a lot of different things. And then when I found these questions and these tools and this ease with everything in my life. And it continues to get better and better and better. And like we said earlier in the show, there's not an end game, right? I'm always going to look to make my life easier, make it better. Where can I contribute? Where can I contribute to people? Where can I be an inspiration for myself as well as others? And, creating consciousness and spreading that in the world, the joy, the freedom. What can that contribute to everybody? And like Kathy said, right before we lost her, what would it be like if everybody was happy? Can you imagine walking into a restaurant where every single person in there is happy and laughing and smiling, and the energy of what that would be, and what would that fuel for the day? Because when you're around people that are happy and joyful, it's pretty hard to stay in a space of the same, if you were in a bad mood and everyone around you is laughing for half an hour. Laughter's contagious. So what if we didn't make our bad moods significant? And what could we find to laugh about? What can we find that would give you peace and joy? Whether it's taking a nice hot bath, whether it's going to the movies, playing with your pets or your children, or drawing something, listening to music. What can you do to change what isn't working? And sometimes it's really something as simple as kind of stopping whatever it is you're doing, asking some questions. What can I be and do different here? What if I didn't make this situation so significant? Will this matter in 5 weeks, 5 years, 10 years, like Kathy's father asked all the time? Will this be significant? Will I even remember it? So the things that we make, when we make a mountain out of a molehill, if we're over busy making the molehill, what are we missing out on in our life? I got this visual of little ants building this big hill, and that's all they do, right? If you've ever watched an army of ants and their procession of whatever it is they're carrying, that's what they do, just back and forth and back and forth. So what are you missing out on in your own life by the significance of whatever it is that you're creating? So with some of these questions, what else truly, truly is possible, my friends? What else is possible for you and for your family and for your life and whatever it is that you desire to be in the world and contribute to the world? And what does that look like for you? Everybody has different things that they desire to do, and if you don't know, sometimes you can be frozen in time and space by not knowing what to do. So you start to make that significant. Well, I would love to do ABC, but I don't know how to do it. So you don't do anything. And you make what you don't know how to do more significant than just doing. Well, what if you could be like a child, right, who's learning how to walk, and they get up, they fall, they get up, they fall, they might cry, they might bang their head, they might get a bruise, and they keep going. And they don't make it significant for very long. So what if we could do that? And you get up. So what if you fall? What if you make a wrong choice? What if you offend somebody? What if you judge yourself? Can you keep going and say, oops, let's try something different? What else can you do? So when you look at the joy that children are, and as they're learning to walk and they're stumbling around, and then the next thing you know, they're running around the house. You're like, oh my gosh, how did that happen? They keep going, right? And they don't make it significant. So everything that you have made so significant in your life that you have stopped yourself from doing anything else. What could you choose today? What could you be or do different? And what else is possible? And I think about so many times in my life where I did make things like way more significant than they really were. Now, have you ever gotten a bill in the mail, an unexpected bill, and you just go, ugh, and then you might throw it in a drawer, you might throw it away, pretend it doesn't exist. You know, and what if you didn't go to that space of angst and anxiety? What if you said, I wonder what else is possible here? You know, could you call the people and say, hey, I need to work out a payment plan? Or you sit down and you write a letter and you send them $50 and say, please put this towards my balance. And you didn't allow it to ruin your day. I remember we had one winter right before Christmas time. It was an especially brutally cold winter in Maryland in the United States, and our sewer pipes broke, and we had that in our basement, and not a pleasant smell, not something fun to deal with. And when they came to give me an estimate of how much it was going to cost, I got hysterical. Like, I was sobbing in front of the man. He was looking at me like, lady, I don't know what to do with you. And I remember and talk about making something so significant, I went into a panic. I froze. I went to almost hysteria. I was literally crying in front of a complete stranger and breaking down, and like I had no idea how I was going to pay for this. And in that, I look back at it now and it's like, oh my gosh, I figured out a way. I think I had to give him 2 or 3 different credit cards to pay for it. And and it was like, okay, well, this wasn't the greatest thing and certainly not something I had planned. And okay, well, we made it work and we went on. And how would I handle that today? I would be, wow, well, again, always asking that question of what else truly is possible here? And how can this work out greater than I can even imagine? And what does that look like? And what can we work out together? And, all kinds of different questions. And people, for the most part, people really do desire to help you and contribute, and if you're just honest with somebody and say, oh my gosh, this is a completely unexpected expense and I don't have the money for it, and what can we do here? How can we make this work? Rather than, going into, almost hysterical crying in front of a complete stranger, And maybe, you know what, I look at that and I'm so grateful that I have grown and learned and that I'm not in that space anymore. And that really, truly, what else is possible is one of the questions that I probably ask. I know I ask it every day. I don't even know how many times a day I ask it. And you can ask that question, my friends, whether it is something that is going great or, so you don't have to wait for something bad to happen in your life. It's like, what else is possible? I'm always asking that, looking for what else might be possible beyond anything that I can think of in these, in that situation, in these 10 seconds or in these couple of hours or whatever it is. What else is possible? So it can work for things that are going great. And even then, what else is possible? What else could you invite into your life? So that's a question that we play with all the time. And then another question that you can use for any situation is, how does it get better than this? And I will leave you with that, my friends. Thank you so much for joining us on Imperfect Brilliance. We'll see you next Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you so much. And I'll say aloha for Kathy is the way she loves to sign off. Bye-bye, my friends.